Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I'm going to be talking about something of a very serious nature. At least I believe it's serious. Some of you out there may not think it's really that important or a significant thing or to be concerned about. But it's Ebola. Ebola is something that is caused by something called Ebola virus. People that get this, they could feel the effects, the adverse effects, generally between 2 to 21 days after getting the virus. Muscular aches, sore throat, fever, headaches are some of the symptoms. Rash, regurgitation or throwing up, external, internal bleeding. The predominant or main carrier of this are fruit bats. Now, there is no known vaccine for it. You can't eradicate it. There are some things that may be done which may be able to help maybe alleviate some of the symptoms or be able to reduce or diminish the chance of somebody dying from this, but there is no known actual vaccine or a cure that is available right now. Now, the one where this is figuring prominently, as most of you heard, it's the one that's in the West Africa area right now. And because of this, over 4,000 people have died just from this new case alone. And it started in December of 2013, and it's continued for 10 months. You talk about 4,000 people have died. That's a very exorbitant amount. About approximately 50% of the people that get it have died. Now, there's many people that undermine this, that they think it's a magnified or distorted fear as far as the United States is concerned. I watched Dr. Drew recently, and he doesn't seem to think it's really of anything of great importance or anything we should really be that apprehensive or concerned about. Well, we had a second confirmed case, I'm sure many of you heard, in the United States. But there's fear there might actually be more health workers that were possibly have contracted this, and it just hasn't been discovered yet. Now, I'll give you some history on this. Now, the identification was first made in 1976. Now, there were over 1,700 cases, 1,716 cases were reported between 1976 and 2013. Now, on average, that's about 45 per year in that span or period. If you're counting all those years, 38 years. Now, this was made by the World Health Organization. Now, let's compare that right now. 8,376 cases in about a 10-month period. I believe this was, according to Wikipedia.org, this was through October 10, 2014. Now, for every month in that period, that's 837.6 per month. Or another way of looking at it, it's approximately 19 times the amount of the monthly cases that the period from 1976 to 2013 reported. So, if people want to look at this as something minuscule, it's inconsequential, these figures, well, they're vast. I mean, they couldn't be more wrong. Now, the United States is saying that this really, or we really shouldn't be, or that concerned, or at least the message that I'm getting from reports, as far as the consensus goes in the U.S., that it's something it's so minute, it's nothing that we should fret about. Well, the thing about it is, maybe there's only 2 confirmed cases. That doesn't mean it couldn't grow, and perhaps grow exponentially. And I hate to bring this into this video, but people, you know that, I'm sure a lot of you know about the HIV, the AIDS epidemic. Now, HIV I can make a little kind of correlation to what I'm talking about with Ebola to some degree in terms of as far as maybe numbers that this maybe could possibly grow to at some point. Now, the HIV was actually, the first case was like 1981 when it was, perhaps when it was discovered. It was believed to have actually originated in the West Central West Africa area, which is where perhaps this is where the Ebola has originated from. Now, people know about the HIV, and the amount of people are well in the millions that have perished from this. Now, I'm not saying that this Ebola could necessarily escalate or get out of control like that. It probably won't get to that point. That may be a little extreme. But just because, okay, you're getting 2 confirmed in the U.S., that I don't think that means that the U.S. should undermine this and think that this is not of something of a little greater magnitude. Even if they say, okay, we can control this, or we could contain this to some degree and minimize the damage. We could somehow control the people coming from certain parts of the countries where this is prevalent. Well, let's say they find a way and they do that. Well, what's to stop people from coming from the country where right now, where it's in the West Africa area where this is so prominent? What's to stop, okay, people from saying commuting over to another country, say South America hypothetically, and then those people, there's a number of people that travel that contracted this from someone from West Africa in South America. How about maybe those people that have contracted, let's say some of them come to the United States, then what do you do? So there's no way, I don't think anybody can say, well, this thing is going to be stopped. The United States can really strongly minimize the damage. I mean, that's just my opinion. Now, as I stated before, I don't think this is necessarily a distorted or magnified fear, because you could start out something in low quantities and have it expand quicker than you might think it would. If the precautions are not taken, this could really be something that can get out of control, I think, faster than people may realize. Now, I think it's somewhere, my thought on this is kind of a happy medium, so to speak, between the fact that this is something that it's so dangerous. It's something like the bubonic plague or whatever, or AIDS, HIV. The thing about this is, but it's not, might not be at that level, but it's certainly something where it's not as minuscule as what a lot of people are claiming this to be. And another thing too, what I didn't mention before, of those over 8,300 cases that were reported, it's been stated, though this may be speculation, that it may very well be to about approximately, I think it was 2.5 times the amount of those cases. Maybe that's the true amount of people that actually contracted this in West Africa, but there was so many that weren't reported. So therefore, the 8,376 might be closer to 20,000, according to some speculation on this. It's nothing that's confirmed, but they think that the amount might be 2.5 times the amount of the cases that were reported, which would make it come to closer to 20,000 as far as the true amount. And 20,000 people, I mean, that's not a number to scoff at by any means. And it's something where you got to remember that just because there might be 2 confirmed cases of Ebola in the U.S., how many are there and maybe haven't been either reported? Has it been suppressed? Now, I can't say like we can't go on. I mean, to say that the government may be doing something connected with obfuscation or deception or suppressing some things, but who really knows? I mean, I'd like to feel that there's honesty with this, and I mean, the government. I mean, I'm going to assume that everything's honest with them, but do we really know that 100%? Is there maybe some suppression connected with this that might be where in order for maybe Americans not to be as fearful as maybe they should be? It's just something to think about, maybe. Now, this is something that really, just because in a case of the United States, even if the percentages are so minuscule and infinitesimal or whatever, it doesn't mean it couldn't grow. This thing could not expand, and I think that's the thing that people have to really be concerned of. I mean, you're talking close to 8,400 reported cases, at least 4,000 people dying from this. Now, if there's really 20,000, if the number is actually closer to 20,000 people that have actually had cases of this, then that would mean there would be approximately maybe 10,000 people that have perished from the Ebola virus. So, to me, it's really something you can't really scoff at and say, well, no, it's not. It can never happen to me. Somebody had said that you have a better chance of getting hit by lightning than contracting this in the United States. Well, people do get hit by lightning a little more than a lot of people think, and you know, do you even want to get hit by this one time? I just think that you have to find a happy medium. The fear, I think I don't believe it would ever get out of control like the HIV did, where you have like millions of people. I think there was on Wikipedia.org, if I'm not mistaken, it was like around 35 or 36 million people have died from HIV since its discovery in the early 1980s. And that number is nothing to scoff at or sneeze at. And this thing in the West Africa can really may get out of control if they can't find a cure for this. This could be something of really of strong significance, I think, and this is something not to take really super lightly, because you can get it, my understanding, by just making contact with blood or bodily fluids from somebody that has this. I mean, with HIV, it's harder to get it because HIV, as most a lot of it can be through unprotected sexual activity with somebody that has it, or maybe a blood transfusion. So the thing about it is that the HIV is more exorbitant in terms of the amount of people that have died, no doubt about it, much more compared to this Ebola virus. But the HIV is a lot harder to get from somebody. The Ebola virus doesn't take much at all. Just simple contact with somebody that might possible blood that somebody had, or a bodily fluid that somebody that has the Ebola virus. So, and taking all these precautions and wearing your right medical equipment is really, I mean, is paramount in terms of making sure you don't take a chance and get this. So, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube video segment of my thoughts on Ebola. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.